The badge, it was a damp Monday morning in Savannah, Georgia. The air smelled like wet pavement and fresh rain, but inside the classroom of Miss Eleanor Whitaker, the atmosphere was dry and suffocating. Mrs. Whitaker, a middle-aged history teacher, with sharp eyes and an even sharper tongue, prided herself on discipline. She had a reputation for being strict, but there was an unspoken truth among students and parents alike. She was harder on certain kids, especially kids who didn't look like her. Kids like Amara Johnson. Amara was a bright, spirited 15-year-old with a love for science and a knack for sketching galaxies in her notebook margins. But every time she stepped into Miss Whitaker's classroom, her passion shrank under the teacher's cruel gaze. Mrs. Whitaker always found a way to single her out, criticizing her handwriting, mocking her questions, and sneering at her every move. Amara tried her best to keep her head down and her voice quiet. Her mother had always warned her, "Don't give them a reason, baby. Sometimes silence is your loudest weapon." But one day, Mrs. Whitaker pushed too far. The incident, it started with a simple mistake. Amara had forgotten to bring her homework. She had spent the previous night helping her younger brother with his math, and by the time she finished, she'd fallen asleep on her open textbook when Miss Whitaker asked for the assignments. Amara hesitated, her stomach sinking it. "I don't have it," she admitted softly. The room fell silent. Miss Whitaker's lips curled into a thin, venomous smile. "Of course you don't," she said, loud enough for the whole class to hear. "Why am I not surprised? You people always have an excuse." Amara's cheeks burned. "What do you mean, you people?" Miss Whitaker leaned forward, her voice dripping with mockery. "Oh, don't play innocent. You know exactly what I mean. You're lazy, unprepared, and stop it." Amara's voice cracked, but it carried enough force to make the classroom gasp. Miss Whitaker straightened, clearly caught off guard. "Excuse me?" I said. "Stop it." Amara stood up, her fists clenched, her whole body trembling. "You've been picking on me since the first day I walked into this room. I'm tired of it." Miss Whitaker's face darkened. She pointed to the door. "Principal's office. Now." Amara grabbed her things and stormed out, her heart pounding like a drum. She felt tears prick her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. Not here. Not where Miss Whitaker could see. The revelation later that afternoon, Amara sat outside the principal's office, replaying the confrontation in her mind. She felt angry, humiliated, but also something else. A nagging sense of curiosity. Why did Mrs. Whitaker hate her so much when the secretary stepped away? Amara spotted something on the desk, a small metal badge, half hidden under a stack of papers. Her curiosity got the better of her, and she leaned in for a closer look. Her breath caught in her throat. It was a badge from the Daughters of the Confederacy, a group notorious for glorifying the Confederacy and promoting revisionist history about America's racist past. The badge was engraved with a Confederate flag and the words "Heritage" and "Honor." Suddenly, everything clicked. Mrs. Whitaker's sneers, her condescending tone, the way she always seemed to target black students. It all stemmed from this twisted allegiance to a hateful ideology. Amara's hands shook as she backed away from the desk. She felt a surge of anger, but also power. She had proof now. Proof that Miss Whitaker's behavior wasn't just strict teaching, it was prejudice. Plain and simple. The confrontation the next day, Amara returned to class with a new sense of purpose. She sat in her usual seat, her head held high, waiting for Miss Whitaker to make her move. It didn't take long. "Amara," Miss Whitaker said, her voice icy. "Do you have your homework today, or are you planning to disappoint me again?" Amara stood up, her voice steady and clear. "Actually, I wanted to ask you something, Miss Whitaker." The teacher raised an eyebrow. Oh. And what might that be? Amara reached into her pocket and pulled out her phone, where she had snapped a photo of the badge. She held it up for the whole class to see. Can you explain why you have this on your desk then? Room went silent. Mrs. Whitaker's face turned ashen. Where did you? How dare you? I found it while I was waiting outside the principal's office, Amara said, her voice growing louder. This badge represents hate. And now we all know who you really are. The students began murmuring, their shocked whispers filling the room like a rising tide. Miss Whitaker tried to regain control, but it was too late. The truth was out. The aftermath word spread quickly. Parents demanded an investigation. The school board held an emergency meeting. By the end of the week, Mrs. Whitaker was placed on administrative leave. Amara became a hero among her peers, but she didn't let the attention distract her. She knew the fight wasn't over. The badge was just the tip of the iceberg. There were still systems in place that allowed people like Ms. Whitaker to thrive, and Amara was determined to change that. She started a student-led group called Voices for Justice, dedicated to exposing discrimination and promoting equity in education. Her courage sparked a movement that reached far beyond her school. And as for Mrs. Whitaker, she never returned to teaching. But Amara's voice continued to echo in the halls of the school, a reminder that even in the face of hatred, the truth has a way of shining through. Themes and reflection. This story explores themes of racism, courage, and the power of standing up for what's right. It highlights how systemic prejudice can manifest in everyday interactions and how one person's bravery can spark meaningful change.